What's happening, guys? Thank you for jumping into another episode of this podcast. Before we get into this episode, there's just two things I want to let you know. Number one, I want to apologize for the audio inadequacy. We had some issues with the software that we use for recording the podcast. There were some major outages that night, which means I had to keep switching from my computer, what I usually record on, to my phone, which means I was using some AirPods. So my audio does differ. It's definitely listenable, but I want to apologize in advance because it's not always that way. And secondly, I just want to remind you all to like, comment, subscribe, check out our YouTube, Instagram, and all those good bits. Thanks for listening. See you soon. Peace. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Chatting podcast. Today, we have got Lauren with us. We're going to get into what it is about in a second. But as always, make sure if you are watching to just like, comment, follow, subscribe, and do all the good shit because it helps me. The more people that like and share this shit is like the cooler people we can get involved. Because like, let's say I get 10k subs on YouTube, you might be able to get someone really like with like more subs. I don't know. Anyway, just hit the follow button and share it. It's cool. Anyway, while we're here, how you doing, Lauren? You all right?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
I am all good. So what I like to do really at the start is just like ask like what you've been up to today, get into the flow of things, and then that will sort of move forward. So what you been up to today? How's your day? Whoa, hello.
Oh, hi.
Josh, hello.
Doing,
You're right,
Nick? You
guys.
all
How are
right?
you?
I'm all good, buddy. I'm all good. You've literally jumped in at the perfect time.
Excellent.
So everybody, as you can see, we've got a third person. Nick is here, and Nick, you are the sort of like the owner of Campmates. Is that correct?
Yeah. I started it with my one of my best friends, and he was a single parent at the same time a long time ago. So sort of founder, one of the founders, if you like, of Campmates.
Sick. Well, we haven't even mentioned Campmates yet, so we'll get to it.
Okay.
But yeah, so just as I was just saying, everybody, just to get into it, what I like to do is just ask everyone how their day's been, what they've been up to, and sort of get into the flow of a conversation before we start, and then we'll go from there. So Lauren was about to tell us her exciting day.
Not so exciting day. I've just been at work. Came home, been a mum. About as exciting as it gets.
That's literally my life. I can't lie. Like, to be fair though, I had to go to like the center of London today, and like Hackney. It's quite rough in Hackney, like.
No way.
And I was like, I walk through and I'm like, because I'm a telecoms engineer, I walk through, I'm carrying like all this expensive gear and stuff. And I'm like, every time I walk through like a little rough place in London, I do get a bit nervous. It's like, like, what's going to happen? But,
I just avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, honestly, I hate London. I'm not going to lie. I can't lie. I hate London. I think it's probably one of the worst places in the country. But, anyway. What about you, Nick? What have you been up to today, buddy?
I've been at the campsite today, Josh. So we've got an event coming up this weekend, and just lots of maintenance and new doors for our toilets and just building all sorts, really. Yeah, and chatting with staff down there.
Cool.
I got back about 5:30. So yeah.
Is it? Do you find like there's so like? How long have you been doing Campmates for? If you don't mind me asking.
Starting literally 10 years ago, 2015. Yeah.
How many times have you like started like to do something where it's like, are you the doors and you're like, what? I didn't even think this was going to be a thing I had to do. Does it like little things like that pop up like all the time?
Yeah, loads. Because we run our own campsite, so we don't. When we first started, we used to rent areas off existing campsites and put our tents and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And as we grew, we found that there was a lot of plus points, but a lot of minuses. And we were offered some land down in Leap in the New Forest.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we jumped at the chance. We thought, we can run our own. So we did. And and then very quickly learned how to run a campsite. Still learning after 8 years.
Yeah, you will be for sure. It's anything like that though, isn't it? Like anything that anyone starts. I mean, even with this, I'm still learning every time. Like I'm editing something or making a video. Every time I'm learning something new, I'm like, how did I not think of this before? Or what's going on? Checking YouTube and all this. Every day is a school day, right?
Absolutely.
That's what they say.
What do we use the most, Nick? It's ChatGTP, isn't it? GPT, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people say GTP?
GTP, like, I always say it.
Everybody says it. I don't know why. It's like this.
That we
Mandela
just
effect.
need to change the name.
Yeah.
It's
I
called a
live on it.
chat.
I mean, to
Chat,
be fair,
yeah.
I literally just used it. Because I was trying to find out if somebody can join mid-interview, and I was like, "Oh, just ask ChatGPT, right? There you go,
It's
cool."
amazing. It saved my life.
But
Yeah,
yeah, there's so many more which I don't even. I mean, I know there's millions of AI bots out there and programs, and one day I might start exploring.
you're
But at the
using
moment,
AI
it's
right now.
incredible, isn't it?
It's nuts. Like this. So, like, bit of background on this website. What it does is the AI. Let's say like you're talking and it skips your voice, for an example. The AI will fill it in.
Really?
It's unreal. It's so good. Like even my editing process, I'm gonna be out of a job. I'm gonna be out of a podcast soon because at the end I just put auto edit and it just does it all. And I'm like, cool. All I got to do is check it. Great. So
I've not heard of this app before, so it's a new one on
I
me.
I only found it due to like just looking at different types of audio recordings. Like I'm a massive like computer geek, so that's all I do is sit in my room. I got like 4 screens in front of me, and it's like poof. So took a lot of research. um. So Campmates, that what is Campmates for the listeners?
Lauren, or do you want me to do it?
You can do that. You created it.
Campmates is a safe and friendly environment for single parent families and fun.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. To be quite honest, Josh, it's when we first started looking at it in 2014. Madeline McCann was still on people's lips as they are this week. It's
Yeah,
crazy. 18 years later,
that's
and
perfect for the algorithm. Thank you. No,
yeah, yeah. My son was 3, and obviously being a single dad, I wanted to take him on holiday.
yeah,
And I couldn't think of anything worse than going to Spain or Turkey or wherever, Greece, and having a great time during the day, but at night time, thought, do I really want to spend 7 nights sat on my own on a balcony or in a hotel room watching local TV, not engaging with anyone? And I thought, selfishly, there must be more. There must be more as a single dad that that's available, and it would be no different to going to Butlins or anywhere. You know, it's great during the day, but if your child's young or whatever age they are, if they've got a set routine, especially the younger ones who
yeah.
they get shattered after a fun day in the swimming pool or whatever they're doing, they want to go to bed. And
Mm-hmm.
as an adult, and you're craving company, and because you don't get much of it, there is nothing. You still have to go to bed. Doesn't matter whether you're in the UK at Butlins or wherever. And I think also, as a single parent, and Lauren will probably back this up a lot, and I hear it from hundreds and hundreds of single parents that come and stay with us. You do get alienated, and it's hard to sit there and if you've got your child, to just infiltrate other people and become friends with people. You get pushed aside a little bit and ignored. If you're with a husband, a wife, partner, you don't need anyone technically to,
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of your holiday. You've got each other, you've got your adult company. But when you're on your own, there's only so much you can talk about CBBS or whoever's on stage or whatever it may be. You crave for a bit of adult conversation.
Yep.
So anyway, cut a long story short, in 2014, I was chatting with my business partner Darren. Said, there's got to be something out there, and I scoured the internet and I could not find anything. And so I thought, well, there's an opportunity here. One, to create a really, really safe, fun environment, but more, and the reason why I went to camping straight away was because we've always tried to create an environment where you've got like perhaps a horseshoe or like a curve of tents, a campfire in the middle,
Yeah.
maybe a den, which we've got, where basically when the kids are shattered, they can go to bed, the parents can stay up around the campfire, only feet away from their tent. They can socialize and chat with other adults, knowing exactly where their child is.
Yeah.
And if the child did wake up, they'd hear them. They know exactly where they are. And it was proved right. People, we've had thousands now of guests over the last 10 years. And it's, the feedback, You know, I mean, I see these people, they turn up now, and it's not just the mums, the dads as well. They turn up and you can see the anxiety on their faces as they're turning up. It's brand new. They don't know what to expect. And ultimately, within an hour or two, you see all that wash away.
Yeah.
You know, the kids
That was
immediately, I mean, Lauren will tell you what,
that was me.
yeah,
Wow.
That was
you
me.
tell.
I said to my mum before we left, I said, I'll be back by Wednesday. We were supposed to come back Friday. I said, I'll be back by Wednesday, because I just genuinely didn't think I was going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, the anxiety just like poured over me, and it just made me feel like I really couldn't do it. I thought, how am I going to camp for 4 nights on my own with Layla? I don't know anyone. I've never really camped properly anyway. I've done it in the garden, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just felt like, how am I going to do it? I turned up. Nick will vouch for me here. I massively overpacked. My car was filled to the brim. But I thought, you know what, it's better to have more, you know, not run out of things. And then Layla usually just takes so long to, you know, find company or make friends. She was off, wasn't she, Nick? She was gone.
Yeah.
You
Within
know,
minutes of it.
within minutes, you know, I hadn't even unpacked the car and she'd made friends. There was a little girl next to us in our tent that had come straight over to her and said, oh, do you want to play this? And she was gone. But
And
it's mad. It's so true.
as a parent, seeing your kid just run off with other kids is like, there's no other feeling, is there? Like, just to see
No,
them like
especially when
having
she's
fun.
timid. Usually, she's so timid. Usually, it takes her so long. But yeah, she had the best time. Best time.
And you did as well, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was great.
Good.
I actually managed to read a whole book, which is completely unheard of.
I've never read a book, I can't lie.
Yeah, is that?
Like, I listened to books, but never read one.
Yeah, no, it was great. You know, I just sat outside the tent, watched her play, read my book, you know, and then I interacted with parents and other single parents, and you know, we all shared stories, and it's so refreshing to hear people in the same situation as you, because you genuinely do feel quite isolated.
Yeah.
And then you hear everyone else's story and you think, oh, I'm actually really not on my own here.
Yeah, no, 100%. I find like, obviously I can't speak because me and my partner are together and we've got a 2-year-old, like, you know, so I can see how bloody hard it would be though. Jeez, like I genuinely, I can't imagine it looking after Grace. I did it for a week. She went to America for a week, and by the end of it, I was like, whew, can I get a week? Can I, like, you know, I need a week now, you know? So, nah, like, hats off to anyone who's a single parent, honest. And I think people who don't actually think about that probably will never, like, they'll never even, people just don't think about it, do they? Like, people don't think, imagine if I wasn't with my partner and I was on my own, like, it must be so hard. So actually I commend both of you and everybody else who's a single parent, because yeah. Yeah, it sounds scary to me. It makes you very strong, I can imagine. So what sort of, was this the vision, Nick? Like, have you, is like this what you've envisioned? Is that what's come, or is there like more, like?
I expected, if I'm brutally honest, I expected to have more campsites under the Campmates banner, you
Yeah,
know, up and
okay.
down the country, because we are based right on the south coast.
Yeah.
And not everyone can get to us, you know. So we do get people arriving by public transport. But it is, I mean, if you've got a car, it's easier. But some of the activities that we do, like we have day trips out. So we just go down to the beach, which is only a mile away, and we go crabbing. Absolutely
So
everyone loves it.
I
Parents
love
love it.
crabbing.
Kids love it. It's very down at Leap Beach. It's awesome. But having a car is very useful. But yes, I thought perhaps that eventually we would have more campsites further up the country because of the geographic side of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm based in Christchurch, and so Darren's in Surrey. So it was never going to be easy, because obviously you've got work-life balance. Obviously, I've got my commitments to my son, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I thought perhaps there might be more, maybe people, I've been approached by people that would love to have taken on maybe a potential franchise. The only thing is, Josh, that it's, for me, I'm very protected of the brand. I want people to come. I'm in my 50s now. Started this in my early 40s.
Don't look a day over 21. Don't worry about it.
Thank you very much. I like you, bud. I do like you already. So, when I talk about these people turning up, full of anxiety and having, it's almost like a rabbit in the headlights. And they just don't know what to expect. When they do arrive, we've got a great team that they just relax straight away. And I think that I'm very conscious of who would I have running that
100%.
if I didn't know them really, really well. So again, I'd love to have more campsites.
Sure.
We do go to Spain every October. We have done Easter as well.
Wow.
But we go to down to Malaga for half term every October. So we're going again this year.
That's cool.
So but we don't go camping. We stay in a hotel, thankfully. Nobody has to wash up. It's all inclusive.
A lot more deadly animals in Spain, isn't there? I'm pretty sure. So I want to be camping in any foreign country.
Yeah.
No. And what about
that's good fun.
Emotional side of it, what you envisioned, how you're going to help people and that sort of, do you feel like it's really hit the nail on the head of how you thought it was going to do that?
So we had a dad that stayed with us this May, and he's been to Campmates probably at least 4 or 5 times, and he hadn't been for a few years, and he contacted me recently saying, "Hi Nick, how you doing?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, Adam." He said, I'd love to come back at May half term. I'm just trying to organise the dates with my daughter's mum. Anyway, cut a long story short, they came back, and by the end of it on Friday, he was almost emotional, Josh. He said, "I can't believe I've left it this long." He had such a great week. He bumped into 3 or 4 parents that were there 3 or 4 years ago when he was there, and he got on well with them. He made new friends. I know Layla would. I know Lauren probably and Layla would have. Well, I think Layla might have spoken to her daughter, but Lauren was talking to everyone. So, so he almost had a tear in his eye, Josh. And I see that so many times, time after time after time. Ours is not like a. I think when people talk about single parent holidays, I think there's that stigma of what it might be, and I think Lauren can jump in here. But it's quite the opposite. It really is. We try to be organised. We don't try to ram everything down people's throats saying, "You must do this on this time. You must do this." This is what we're doing. If you want to come with us, everyone is welcome. This is the time we're going to go. Blah, blah, blah. We try and make it, and it's the same when we go to Spain as well. People, we might go to the water park one day, and that's not for everyone. Or when we're camping at Leap, we go to Lymington and we go to the inflatables at the saltwater baths there, and that's not for all age groups. Again, so the groups do split. But yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to see how many different people come with different age groups of kids, and even the teenagers. The parents are really apprehensive, thinking, "Oh my God, they're just going to moan their head off all week because they haven't got their Xbox." But they don't. They start building camps, Josh. God forbid. That's what I used to do when I was a kid.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
There was a little girl with a kite, and Layla was just absolutely amazed because there was kites. I took a massive giant Jenga, and all the kids just came to this big toy box that I put outside the tent, and they were there all week. And it was so nice just seeing them away from her tablet and, not watching YouTube the whole week and actually playing outside.
I think that's probably something that you've unknowingly changed as well, is what these kids are doing with their time, because obviously, not to get too socialite and whatnot, but there's so many parents now who are just and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I've never given my son a tablet to watch, because we all have, right?
Yeah.
If someone
my daughter's doing that right now.
I've never given my son a tablet to watch, they're lying. for one, right? They're a liar. They're trying to seem better than they are. It doesn't make you better or worse, but there's a fine balance. And, you know, I was born in 1995, so I was just at the tail end. I was still out doing like 40-40 and manhunt, all those, you know, on the weekends going, staying at my mate's house, but really with a tent. And, you know what, everyone done it. But that's sort of gone.
Yeah.
You know, the being outside, climbing trees, doing whatever, that's sort of like gone now. So I think without even knowing, you've brought that back to it, like the kids as well, which is a massive thing. Because, you know, kids nowadays, there's a lot of like anxiety about all this sort of stuff. I think personally, I think a lot of that comes from being stuck inside. I'm doing this all the time, you know. So you probably don't even know that you've done this, or you do, but you've probably changed their lives, like the kids' lives, so much without even meaning to do that.
Yeah.
Which is unreal as well, you know. So with regards, you were saying like activities, is that something that you just sort of like plan, and then like you've got like a list of like activities you, like you say, you choose or won't choose? How does that work?
Yeah. So when somebody books with us, they get confirmation emails, and one of those is the itinerary of what we have technically planned depending on the weather. So when they first turn up in the first afternoon, we have a welcome meeting in the den, which is our marquee, which we've nicknamed the den, and we get everyone together. I introduce the team, and then we talk about the campsite. We talk about safety things. We just talk about safe perimeters for the parents, where they expect the kids to go and not go, etc.
Yeah.
But then we move on to all the fun things, which is like we have a movie night on the first night.
Sick.
So we set it up so that the first night we set a movie up so the kids can go in there with their popcorn, and at the same time we light a big campfire and we invite the parents to come and bring a glass of wine, a cup of tea, doesn't matter what they're drinking. And then they get to sort of like chat, and you can hear all the different conversations. I'm forever walking around after I've lit the fire, and I'm chatting to everyone, and they're all chatting. And then so that's the first day. So that's lovely, a great way to start it. And then we have on the first full day, which is a Tuesday normally, we will have we'll go, literally it's only a mile away. We go for a lovely picnic by a stream. The kids can get in there because it's nice and shallow. The parents sit, and sometimes I get in there with them, but they'll sit and chat more. And then occasionally the ponies will come down for a drink as well. That's quite exciting when that happens.
I'd be gone.
They love all that.
Petrified of horses and ponies. No
yeah,
way. I'm out.
Well, I tell you what, I know nothing about horses, so I tell everyone to steer clear because I saw my mum once when they moved down to they came down from North Hampshire to Verwood in near Ringwood.
I know that very well.
My mum, before, I think they were house hunting, and she thought when she was a child, she used to, thought she knew everything about horses. We went for lunch up at Fordingbridge, somewhere near there, and she touched a pony, and it reared up at her, and I think she crapped herself. So anyway, so watching that, I have no idea about horses, so we tell all the parents, don't feed them, steer clear, take photographs, but keep back. But so we do the picnic. Then in the afternoon when they come back, we've got activities on site. So we do archery and axe throwing, and they can do that. And then in the evening we have a bingo and quiz night, which is really popular.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
So funny.
We do like a family fortunes one, which is great because then the kids get really involved with it. So we say, right, we've surveyed 1 million single parents and we're looking for the top answer, and all the kids are really engaging in it. Whereas before we've done like general knowledge questions and they get so bored they're out the den, and then but they do like the family fortune style. And then on the Wednesday,
there were some wild answers coming from the kids as well.
Yeah, they were actually. I mean, Darren, who works with us, he compared the bingo, and they love the bingo with the dabbers and the prizes. They all get prizes. They love that as well. But he compares the quiz, and that was quite interesting. And then Wednesday, we take them all down to the beach for crabbing, which is brilliant. They love that. Parents as well. Parents are just as involved as the kids. Then when we come back on a Wednesday afternoon, we've got our own pizza oven. So we make freshly made wood-fired pizzas,
That's the
and
best
then
thing
followed
ever.
by, check this out, an awesome silent disco.
Right.
Yeah.
So if like there's like a 30-year-old who is like a dad but in a relationship but maybe just wants to come on his own as an option, because that sounds delightful.
Honestly, we get so many inquiries, and it's men, well, it's dads or mums who's perhaps their other half's in the military, or it could be a golfing widow. You know, he's always waiting, and she wants to come. She's seen Campmates. She said, "Oh my god, that looks brilliant." Has tried to blag it. We say, "Look, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, you just need to rein your husband in a bit and stop playing so much golf or
Yeah.
whatever the mum does, yoga treats." But yeah, no, it's good fun. We try and organise it well.
It sounds ace. It sounds like really, really fun actually. And it's what just a random question. What sort of percentage of like men and women are there like single parents wise, like mums and dads? I don't know if you want to answer it or if you can, but I'd be super interested to know, is there like more like single parent women or dads, or is it like 50-50?
Lauren?
There's definitely more women.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely
it's
more
to be
women.
expected, right? It's to be like it's
Yeah.
to be expected because there's a lot more scumbag men than there is women. That's just the way
Do you
it
know
is.
what? I think a man's way of looking at it is totally different to a woman's way of looking at it. I had a couple of comments before I left to go to Campmates for the first time, and there was a perception of it being a seedy weekend away or week away that
Oh,
I was taking my kid to.
okay. So that makes sense earlier because Nick made a comment about it. Right now, I didn't.
Yeah,
That not
yeah,
even
yeah.
crossed my
So,
mind.
I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to take my kid there.
Yeah.
So that's not what it is. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It's so lovely and calm. And, I don't know what goes on inside people's tents, but I don't want to know.
We have had a couple. We've had Josh. We have had a couple of romances blossom out of it, of
Yeah, but I
course.
suppose the problem with that is if there's a romance, they've got to leave campmates because they're not single anymore,
Yeah.
right? So they're shooting
They
themselves
Yeah,
in the
go on.
feet.
exactly, and if they really love us, they'll break up at some point.
Well, that's it. That's it. I'm half tempted to tell my missus to do that.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't know, like Nick said, obviously it's happened, and naturally, it could happen because you've
Of
got
course.
a bunch of single parents, you all know you're single, you all know that's why you're there. And if something clicks, something clicks. But I, I don't know, I just don't get that vibe from Campmates at all. Like there's not that vibe there that's what you're there for. You're literally there to have a really, really lovely holiday with your child and meet other people in the same boat as you.
And with like a lot of the people you met, do you like carry on like, I'm gonna say relationships, but not in the seedy way, like outside of campmates, like you're all like friends outside, and do you like lean on each other for like support and things like that? Because I'd imagine it's a good support network for like a lot of people.
Yeah, so when we left in May, there was a WhatsApp group set up by another mum. She set up her WhatsApp group around the fire on the last night, and we've all kind of sent each other our photos from the week and just chatted. I'm sure people do keep in touch separately as well. I know I've kept in touch with a couple of people that I met from there as well, and Layla really got on with their children, so we've planned to meet up and have like play dates and stuff, because the kids don't want to see each other just every year.
Nah, yeah, nah.
I've made loads of good friends. I mean, over the
Yeah, I
years.
bet you have.
I mean, it's incredible, really is, because the I think the most poignant thing is that everyone turns up, as Lauren said. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone has got something in common immediately.
I'd be
And
pooing my pants.
yeah, do you
I
know what,
was.
Josh? Do you know I've I take my hat off to mums. I really do. I've been inspired by them, if nothing else. But I'd love more dads to come. I'd like to understand. I mean, I've always been an outdoorsy guy. So as a kid, I was in the Scouts. Love camping holidays with my family. But taking you know, taking your son or daughter, or if you might have 2 or 3 kids or 4, you know, we've had large families come to Campmates, you know, and it's a big ordeal. And I think that some people do get overwhelmed, and maybe, you know, that it would be lovely just for people to think, actually, I'm going to come away, because we have 2 options. You can either stay in one of our bell tents and it's got all the equipment provided, or they can bring their own, depending, because we've got 2 lovely fields. But it'd be lovely to get more dads, but I think that dads can be often, I think it's a I don't know, it's like a masculinity thing, isn't it? You would imagine that it would be men that would come with their kids,
Yeah.
but it's the opposite. It really is. I mean, the mums just go above and beyond. It's incredible, but I think a lot of it's just down to statistics.
Yeah, of
You
course.
know, when you think of, you know, 90% of single parents, you know, that, you know, the kids are with the mum 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So therefore, if it's 90% mums on site, it does make sense.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Nah, I agree. Like it's never gonna be. And I think you mentioned about the dads trying to be the alpha, like alpha males and stuff like that. That's something people need to knock on the head as well. I'm sorry, like, come on.
Yeah, the mums are kicking the butts, I tell you, big time.
It's funny because you say like women are outstanding, and like obviously
my respect for women went up like after seeing like my partner give birth, like, and how strong they have to be just in that section, let alone actually bringing the child up. And I was like, wow, this is like unreal. And I do believe that single women, there is a stigma against them, especially like single parents, because there's the whole like idea of like all they want to do on the weekend is get rid of their kid, go down drinking, da da da. Now, don't get me wrong, that is like some parents do that, and to me, I think that's despicable. But so many people are just stuck at home on their own, and you're giving them a chance to like get out of that situation and just like be around people, which is, I just think is honestly, it's crazy. So this is what we're talking about when I was speaking to Lauren, like via message. I was saying that like my fiance, if you're happy to, she's going to come up and do some photos for you. Like she's a professional photographer.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Because I do believe that it's something that is really important, and I mean, I'd never heard of it before. I'm not going to lie. Like, it didn't come on my radar, but like after looking at it and things, it's something that I think will help so many people, whether it's a small majority or not. It's something that will help them and their children, and probably their children in the long run, because I think like the kids can be quite lonely as well.
Josh, when I first started this in 2015, there was just over 2 million single parents in the UK. I think it's about 2. Now it's over 3 million. 10 years later,
Really?
3.1 million.
Wow.
So it's, you know, it's a shame. You know, there's lots of reasons why, and you could go into all of those, you know, on a different day about the reasons why people break up, but I think that's very well reported. But what we just try and give people the opportunity to get away from whatever they're getting away from with their kids, and have a great time, relaxing time, you know, chill out for 4 days, see the kids have fun, interact with other people, you know, in the same boat. They can compare stories, as Lauren said, and they do, and they come. One of the things you mentioned earlier on, about Lauren on her last night, the last night is a campfire where we bring out the marshmallows and things like that, and the parents sit around chatting. You know, they've got to know each other over, you know, 3 or 4 days, and they go away, and these people make lifelong friendships. I've seen so many friendship groups, whether it be 2 people or 10 people, you know, parents, because they all keep in contact with Campmates. We do have our own sort of Facebook community group as well, which is linked to the Campmates Facebook page. And there's about 4,500 on there. And, you know, as soon as we get a lot of new people joining every day,
Yeah.
And they'll put like, they'll have a comment going, oh, so what's it like? You know, what do I need to take? And as soon as I don't have to answer any of the questions now. You know, in the past, you know, when you're first starting something, you're on there all night long. But now, if someone's asking me, if a parent's asking a question about, so what happens here? What do you do if this? It's the community that answer the questions, you know, and
that's how you know something's good, right? Like,
yeah, and it's lovely to see it. It's great that they, you know, I'm thinking, well, okay, great, thank you.
But it speaks
and
for itself though as well, Nick. You know, people have such a good time there. I genuinely came away feeling a totally different person. I was so stressed, like awful before I left. And I came back in a completely different mindset. I'd had a whole week in the like outdoors, you know, in, you know, nature and all of that. And I just felt so like chilled when I got back. It was weird.
do you
It
find
was
like
nice.
the parents like teach each other like a little bit about parenting as well? Because obviously, I don't know, like, but do you find that because you're sat, you know, with another load of parents, do you find that you're learning off of like different parents as well, like little like parenting
Life hacks.
tips and life hacks?
Life
Yeah,
hacks, yeah. In a way, I feel like because everyone's so different there, you know, you've got families there that just parent totally different to you. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, you can observe other people and how they deal with things, you know, like, you know, Layla's partial to a meltdown, like everyone else. Um, but she didn't even do that there. She was just feral and free the whole week and she was loving it. I think at one point I've got a photo of her on my phone and she was wearing the baggiest t-shirt, trackies and no shoes, and like I was just like what does she look like? But the thing is I looked at that photo and I looked at the smile on her face and I realized in that moment she was having so much fun.
yeah,
She didn't care, and nor did I. um
yeah.
but it was just lovely. Like I said, you know, the children just all make friends. They love it when it starts getting dark as well, don't they, Nick? Because they can go out and get all of like the torches and stuff like that, and they just think it's brilliant because they're staying up a little bit later and it's dark, and you know, mum don't
All the
care because
ghost
she's
stories
over
start.
there. Yeah.
We have muntjac deer right in the woods, and they've got like they bark like a dog. But it's a,
Yeah,
and
Which you didn't
yeah,
warn me about.
loads of stories about those and what they could be, and is it the wolves, and is it, you know,
yeah.
we don't let anyone go to bed scared, but you know, but yeah, it is great, you know, to see kids. And we over the years we welcome anyone, and we have a lot of children who've been diagnosed with ADHD or autism, and adults as well. And do you know what? I mean, I remember years ago, we had a woman who came from Birmingham. She had a horrendous, this is when we did some weekend breaks, and this was before we moved to Leap. And she had, I'm sure it was 2 or 3 children. And she had an awful journey. It took her about 8 hours to get down to us on a Friday night. She arrived at about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Most people had gone to bed at that point or going to bed. And she was, you know, you can imagine, she was like really stressed out. We got her into a tent, sorted her out, and then, you know, the next day everything's fine, and then the next day everything was fine. And by the Sunday, she was in tears, Josh. She said that one of her sons, who, you know, lovely lad. I mean, I had no idea, but at home he's a tearaway, and she finds it very hard to control him in lots of different ways.
Sounds like me as a kid.
But there, he was an absolute angel, and she was in tears. She said, "I can't believe my son's a different boy," and that was only after a couple of days.
Wow.
But I just genuinely think that fresh air with other kids, lots of things just not get forgotten, but lots of things aren't important. What's important is just that they're out in the fresh air, like Lauren said. The kids just have a ball. Occasionally we have the odd thing, but that's no different to anywhere.
No, of course not.
Playground, you know.
Nighttime and they're really
And that,
tired. They've been playing all day.
Exactly.
You know,
Exhausted.
Layla got really emotional in the evenings, and I was like, "You're tired." Literally, that's it.
That was my son tonight. I had a terror
Yeah,
tonight. He goes to his nanny's usually on a Friday, but he went on Sunday, and when they get away with everything they can at their grandparents, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So he comes home and my mum's like, yeah, he had a nap, and usually he has 2 naps. Says, yeah, he's had one nap. He done on the way home. Oh my Lord, he went to bed like 45 minutes early tonight because he was just like
Oh,
horrendous. I was like, I'll deal with the
You know,
consequences.
don't you? You just know. You see it in their eyes. Their eyes are. My son. I remember years ago when my son's now. He's been there from the creation of Campmates to now. He's 15, 6'2", just about to start his GCSEs. Well, he's already
6'2".
started. Yeah, it's huge, much bigger than his dad.
Tiny.
Yeah, and he's been. I can't tell you how many times. It's hundreds and hundreds of times. And I remember years ago when he was a little boy and he was like 4, and trying to run Campmates and care for my own son at the same time. I had people's help. I had other parents' help. They were helping me as I was helping
yeah,
them.
And that's
We're all
okay
helping
though.
each other. It's
That's
great.
the
yeah,
thing. I think that's something that you probably do push, like not push on people, but people probably learn being there as well. Was like, it's okay to ask for help. So many
yeah. Of
people are
course.
stubborn and they're like, oh, if I ask for help, it's going to make me look bad, da da da.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the first person, like, when I had my boy, I was like the first person, like, anyone who I knew who had a kid, I was like, I'm going to need like help me out, da da da. You know, um, but I think that's one thing I do always like to push, like when I'm talking on this podcast, is like it's okay, one, to ask for help. It's okay to be struggling as well. Like you just got to reach out, and that's where you probably help
Yeah,
so many people,
I
yeah.
think
so
And I
also,
many.
think at Campmates as well. Sorry, Nick.
no, carry on.
I think at Campmates as well is you don't usually have to ask because people know already the situation, and they know how you're feeling at that point. I can remember when we were there, and I don't think she'd mind me talking about it, but when Laura came with 2 of her children, a lady that came in May, she had a 2-year-old, who's still very young, and I think he was 4, and I think the kids had just had enough. They were tired. It was late. We were in the marquee, and her pushchair was over one side, and there was lots of people to get the pushchair through. And then all of a sudden, you had about 4 or 5 people just realizing the situation, helping her carry the pushchair over the tables. Someone got hold of like stuff that she needed to take back to the tent and walked back to the tent with her, and it was lovely to see that. It was so nice to see everyone just grouping together and helping, and she didn't like once ask for someone's help. Everyone knew that situation, they've all been there,
Yeah.
realized that I need to step in here and give that person a hand, and it was just really nice. I was sort of watching and helping, and it was lovely.
It's like a massive sense of community, isn't it? Which
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what it is.
you used
I
to
Yeah,
think
get
it's a
walking around the
massive sense of
street.
community.
I think
Not
one of
so
the
much.
things I would say, going back to, well, the thing is when you're all in the same boat, I think a lot of guys don't come because they think that they might be judged. Because single dads, as we know, like we've said earlier on, they probably feel that if they come to Campmates or anywhere else that does what we do, although they won't find it, but I think that they're worried. They're worried about, okay, you're a single dad, so how often do you have your kids? Every other weekend, and they think that perhaps maybe that they'll be frowned upon, but nobody gets judged, Josh.
No, not at all.
I think that the mums that are there and the other dads, they respect anyone that comes because they've gone, well, they've made the effort to do it.
Yeah.
It's the people that make no effort that I don't understand.
Mm.
I know there are people with disabilities, that's different, but
Yeah, yeah,
when
sure.
it is just down to laziness, then I think really your children deserve more. But I think a lot of it is just down to, I think, this feeling of them. Yeah, if I get there, what are people going to think of me? I'm a single dad. I know that the mums have the kids most of the time. Will I get vilified by the mums? It doesn't work like that. It really
No,
does.
no.
Everyone's got a
100%.
different story to tell.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's just a sign of a great dad who is there with their
Yeah.
kids, because we've got millions of mums, that they're all the time, and it would just be nice to see some more dads,
Yeah.
so
100%. It's and I think what if especially if they're listening and it's something that they want to do, it's like something definitely. It's a sense of community. Even if you just take away every other aspect of it, there's still a community there of people, which you can't find. Like people, you can join as many like Facebook groups as you like, or Instagram, whatever. But actually, physically being around people will never change that.
No.
I go back a little bit. I want to ask one question. With regards to like you said, because like the kids that they seem like they're having way more fun, and probably the adults as well, right? This is going to sound really kooky, right? That because Lauren, you were mentioning about your daughter walking around barefoot. Like you're unknowingly, people are grounding without even knowing. I'm a big advocate for something called grounding. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I have.
Have you ever tried
Nick
it?
with you. No, not knowingly.
Trust
that
me.
is different to dogging, isn't it, Josh? We're not
Yeah, no, grounding. There we
ends
go.
in ing. That's all I can.
He knows where he is. He knows where he is. No.
We're trying to make this sound good.
I've been trying my hardest not to swear, but there we go. So obviously, grounding is like big. Obviously, when you're stood on the ground barefoot, it's all to do with like the nature and the energy that
energy.
flows through nature and so on. And personally, like, I've done it a few times, like where you really sit there and you think. It sounds kooky, but it makes you feel so much better. So without people knowing, they're probably doing that there as well. It just sort of came to my head.
Yeah. Well, Layla definitely was. I think she was fully grounded by the end of the week. She was one with nature.
That's it, and that's a good thing. I'm a massive advocate for being like with nature. Like I love my tech, I live with tech, I work with tech, but getting outside is like I wish I could do more. But
Yeah.
You'd like our eco toilets then, Josh?
I was just about to say that.
honestly, yeah. Anyway,
Do you know what? I think that's one thing to touch upon as well, is that a lot of people, especially, I thought this as well at the beginning before I'd come to Campmates and experienced it for myself, is, what about like hygiene and stuff? I know I had a conversation with Nick and it sounded very girly. And I was like, well, what about, electricity? What about, my hairdryer and things like that? And I genuinely just worried about all of my home comforts.
yeah,
But what it boils down to when we were there, and I was thinking, the toilets, are they going to be like festival toilets? The showers, is it going to be cold? Am I going to have to start getting used to a cold shower? But I couldn't have been any further from the truth. The toilets themselves were constantly clean, thanks to Nick, because I'm not going near that. But they were, and it was brilliant. Like it was really clean. Really, you just didn't feel like dirty when you came out, like you do at a festival or those horrible ones. The showers are really hot. Like they were like the swimming pool ones. You've got a little shower curtain, you've got your door, no one can come in, you've got a little lock on there, a little mirror. I was in my element. But but it was hot showers. Do you know what I mean? And you can genuinely last a week in that environment. Take it from me, who didn't think that I could. And I know that my friend said exactly the same thing. She came with a younger child and she was genuinely worried, thinking, can I live a whole week without having a proper shower and all of that? But you do genuinely have a proper shower. They're hot showers.
And what about like do you like turn your phone off or anything while you're there, to be real, like out of the way or anything like that, or do you still get on your socials?
Between trying to save battery for the whole week and there's not brilliant signal, only in
That's
places.
brilliant.
Do you know what? Like I came away and I did not want to look at my phone. I didn't want to look at my phone. My mum probably thought I'd gone off the face of the earth because I don't think I contacted her all week. But I had messages saying, "Oh, you having a good time?" And I felt really rude because I hadn't replied. But it was either because I was just ignoring my phone because I didn't want to like lose the battery, or the signal just wasn't there. And when it was there, I didn't realise because I was out and about or I was doing something else. And I didn't rely on my phone at all. And when I'm at home, admittedly, and it's horrible to admit it, but I am on my phone way too much.
Yeah, that's just
But I felt
society,
like
though,
when I
isn't
was
it?
at when I was at Campmates, I just completely came away from that side of life, and it was lovely. It was actually really nice.
I think the good thing, Josh, is because there's the lack of 4G, you don't hear all the Tinder notifications going off every 2 seconds.
It's all at these seedy weekends for you, that's why.
They're all with us.
No,
That's
it's good
hilarious.
though. I do think like even there's so many side benefits that you're probably giving people without knowing. Like even like being away from your phone as such, like is so good for your brain and your mind and little things like that.
Yeah.
What I want to do though is move the focus more to you, Lauren, for a minute.
Okay.
Obviously because you went, you sort of had a journey of like going there for the first time and all of this. And
hmm
what I like, I want to sort of touch on like how like the mental effects were for you, because I think that's something that like people they focus on enough, but obviously mental health's a big thing, and not saying that you had like anything mental health wise, but like how did it make you feel like mentally, like after being there with like seeing other single parents and all of this sort of stuff?
hmm
Is there like sort of like anything that you can touch on regarding that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very open in the sense that I do struggle with my mental health bad, and it sort of fluctuates. Um, has been for as long as I've been on my own, really. Um, I took Layla to Spain about 2.5 years ago now. And don't get me wrong, it was the best trip. She loved it. I did love it, but I was riddled with anxiety the entire time I was there.
Sure.
I think I was obviously worried at first about getting ourselves there, because it all falls on me. It all fell on
Yeah.
me. The airport, the transfers, even going through security and stuff like that just terrified me. Um, then we got there and it was a beautiful place, don't get me wrong. And like I said, it was great, but I was on my own the whole
Yeah.
time. I was on my own with a child and I just felt this massive sense of responsibility. I was in a foreign country for the first time. Um, and basically, cut a long story short, like I didn't really sleep the entire time. I think nighttime came and I was exhausted from all the whole thing during the day, and then you'd obviously get the entertainment at night, and obviously people are there with their families, they're in groups of friends they've already gone with, and Layla's there off on the dance floor having the time of her life, and I'm sat there on my own with my drink, like just
Yeah.
watching other people having fun. And I know that sounds so sad, but it was true. And I would love to do that sort of thing again, but I've always said if I do it again, I'm going to have to go with somebody else, because it was way too much responsibility for me. So when I went to Campmates, obviously I think I had that pre-anxiety of what I experienced before I went to Spain, and I thought, God, is it going to be like this again? Am I going to have sleepless nights? Am I going to wake up full of anxiety and want to go home and all of that?
Yeah.
But straight away, you arrive, you feel welcome. Like Nick was there as soon as I got there. He welcomed us in, told us where our tent was, and you're kind of left for a bit to unpack and make it all homely and make your tent how it is. And I just
Yeah.
felt like I just relaxed. um like I said, Layla's little friend came over straight away and sort of wanted her to go and play with her, so I knew Layla was happy straight away. And then there was so much put on for parents as well that I felt like I was part of a group, which is, it sounds so sad. But
No.
when I went away before, I was sat there by myself. I was sat on the sun lounges by myself. I was sat on, in the entertainment by myself. And you're never on your own when you're at Campmates. Never. I know
Apart
I
from
did say
the
to,
toilet.
Pardon?
Apart from the toilet.
Wow, I still got Layla banging on the door. Um, but yeah, no, and I think that's what the message is that we need to get across is, you know, even if you've got social anxiety, because I've had a couple of messages sort of saying, you know, I've got social anxiety. You know, do I have to talk to everybody? If you're not that sort of person, no, you don't. You know, you could sit outside your tent and observe the whole week. If you are a more social person, then yeah, get involved. And all of the other parents and all the mums and dads genuinely made you feel so welcome. So yeah, like I felt instantly relaxed. I didn't genuinely, hand on heart, didn't have a funny moment, as I say, the whole week I was
That's
there. And
brilliant.
like I said to my mum, I thought I was going to be back by Wednesday. I thought, no, I'm just not going to be able to cope. The only reason why I didn't come back from Spain is because I had to book the flight home. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
no, of course.
I had
And
to
that
write
probably
that one
added.
out.
That probably added to
Yeah,
like anxiety as well, knowing that you can't just leave
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
And I think that's a big thing to mention as well, is because obviously with the social media age, you know, if whether let's say you're a single parent and you go on holiday, and there's probably so many people who felt exactly like you do, but because of the social media age, no one says that they want to post the pictures. This was amazing. Anybody asks,
Mhm.
yeah, we had the best time, and
Yeah.
maybe they're not being super honest and truthful. Maybe because they feel like um, they're worried about being honest and truthful, anything like that. But that's
Mhm.
definitely a massive thing, and I'm so glad you said that, because
Yeah.
I would have never have known that's how people felt, you know.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
that's the reality of it, is if somebody is looking to go on a first holiday as a single parent with their child and they're like, I'm so nervous of this happening or something like that, that's where they would then come to you, and that's where we would say, look, try something like Campmates, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that everyone that I spoke to anyway that was new to Campmates, said, you know, I didn't know how I was going to feel when I got here. I didn't know anybody. And by the end of the week, you go home and you're in a WhatsApp group and you've made friends that you like plan to see again, like genuinely. And it's so nice. But like I said, you know, I said to Nick whilst I was there, because I am so used to being on my own and without that adult conversation, there was a point, I think it was the Wednesday midweek, where we were all kind of sat around and we were chatting and everyone was telling stories about this, that, and the other. And there was people all around me talking, and I just had to have 5 minutes where I just went over and I sat over by my tent. Just needed that time, like just to have 5 minutes to myself, because I was not used to
Social
having that much
battery.
adult. Yeah, like my social battery was done, it was dead. And I had to just go back, recharge, and then I was absolutely fine. You know, I think it was the silent disco night that night, and we had an absolute blast. Like when I tell you these silent discos are fun, they are. Oh my God, they're
What was the
hilarious.
top banger? What was top banger played at the silent
Oh, there
disco?
was
Come on.
loads. Nick's the best DJ. I didn't realise he had it in him.
DJ Nick. That's a
It was
side hustle.
great. And do you know what was really funny is because obviously the kids were listening to mainly like they changed colour for what you're listening to. So it was blue, green, and red. The kids' channel was mainly red. But then you had mums and dads that were absolutely like going to like some club bangers. And it was so, because it's a silent disco, you take your earphones off and it's just the funniest thing.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I can imagine. That's hilarious.
honestly, there was a couple of times where I just had to take it off, have a little giggle, then I put them back on and carried on being stupid myself. Um,
And there's some
but no,
terrible
everyone was
voices as well.
having, oh, it was just so funny. Like you come out, you have like come out and have a drink or something for 5 minutes, and you can just you know what they're listening to because they're all singing it at the top of their lungs.
And you've got the headphones off and you can
It's
out of
brilliant. I
tune and you can hear them.
loved it.
Ah. Oh,
Fantastic. Yeah, it's
and
been
you're
really
right.
good.
Nah, it's honestly, it's usually 10 times better.
Well, no, just the conversations really, and listening to Lauren as well. You know,
Yeah, that was
so
beautiful. Like,
and she's just you know that she means it. You know,
yeah,
which is
100%.
And I see that every time, Josh. It's honestly, I've been doing it for 10 years and I've seen thousands of parents, you know, stay in our, wherever we've been. And it is pretty special. People say to me, Nick, do you realise what you've started? And I don't know why. I just sit back, go, yeah, you know, a bit not nonchalant. That's the wrong word, but it's, you know, but they keep coming back year after year after year. You know, for those that don't, you know, find a new partner, and
It's like I said, how many times have I said unknowingly you've done this? And that's the thing.
yes,
Unknowingly you've done so many things without knowing that are causing so many positives to everybody's lives, you know?
yeah.
And you should be so proud. Like, honestly, like that sounds really patronizing, I know, but like hats off to you, man.
Thank you.
Honestly.
I appreciate that.
And what I'll do is I'll put the links to all of your social medias in the description and all of that, and I'll keep in contact with Lauren about getting those photos done.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been great. Good to meet you. And I hope your technical issues don't continue, and I'm sure they won't.
I've got 4 of these to edit tonight, so hopefully not.
All right,
Right, I'll catch you
listen,
later.
take
Lovely.
care. Yeah, catch
You
you
too,
again.
buddy.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.